Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. Let's try something different. We wanted to present to you a series of editorial articles, and this is the first that we've done in our Bowlversity section of our site at bowlingball.com. And right off the bat, we're going to tell you, please send your comments in. Give us your ideas. Let's be proactive and not reactive. Let's try to be positive and help find ways to offer suggestions that could help the bowling industry in general. Well, today's topic is we're going to talk a little bit about world bowling rankings and the world tour. Try to visualize a world tour. In a recent conversation I personally had with the founder and CEO of bowlingball.com, Mr. Keith Spear, he related to me how he believed that world bowling rankings are needed for competitive players, so we can interrelate to how people are ranked versus amateur competitions and professional competitions, and so on. He says right now it's very difficult to identify the top players around the world who compete in various levels of competition, and it's difficult to assign levels of importance to that, and difficult for business to assign levels of financial support to bowlers at different levels unless we can get a comparative ranking system in place and successfully identify key events, key organizations, and competitions which hold the highest levels of importance. And I agree with Mr. Spear's comments completely. A world ranking system for players around the globe, that is, would be a long overdue concept, and we think makes sense. A similar system is already in place in other sports, golf, I know, and tennis. The movement toward a world tours are good because world tours attract interest around the world. When you get competitive players from Asia, from Europe, Australasia, perhaps South America or South Africa as well, and the U.S. and the American and Canada players. When you have those type of range of players competing in events, that worldwide flavor, we can completely identify who the best players are and where the best production of new talent emerges from around the world. So, for example, let's talk about the PGA Tour of America, been highly successful over the years. Well, most of the touring players, as you know, compete in tournaments around the world. They get world golf rankings, creates a tremendous amount of interest by fans and industry supporters, like the President's Cup or the Ryder's Cup, and other international competitions that permit these players to compete regularly. And the Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta, Georgia every year is one example where world ranking players are invited to come and participate. It's not just U.S. players. And it's important to know that there are talented players all over the world. For example, in the PBA Tour. The PBA Tour recently has had players from around the world, multiple players on one telecast. We've had multiple players from international countries win tournaments through the years, dating back to Emiliano Monticelli, one of the ones I can remember in the 1980s, emerging as a talented player, possibly the 1970s. Mika Koviemini is one of them today. Apologize if I didn't pronounce his name correctly. Great player on the tour and very dominant in the last decade or so. And on and on. Jason Belmonte, the first two-handed bowler to win on tour, and there's going to be more and more that we're going to see, not to leave any other talented players out. And we've had players from our country out of the amateur ranks go on to the tour. They bowl on Team USA. They've had successes on the tour and went on to become PBA champions. People like Pat Healy, and the most notable would be Chris Barnes. And also we've had women win on the PBA Tour. Kelly Kulick won the Tournament of Champions, a major championship. We had Liz Johnson almost win. She finished second on the national tour. We've had women win PBA regional titles. Carolyn Doran-Ballard, another example, and on and on. So the talent level goes pretty deeply now, and it's more of an implication with worldwide effects. So why not a world tour? Could be divisions, PBA of America, PBA of Europe, PBA of Australasia, PBA of Asia, and so on. Maybe the players have to compete in a couple of tournaments a year on foreign soil, on all the tours. And we just need to get a council together or some kind of organization together that can rate the different tours as they exist today and place a point or evaluation system on each particular event on their schedules. So when you finish a certain place in a tournament, you're awarded so many points on a world ranking system. And by doing that, we just might create more financial support. Instead of limiting financial support in the U.S., for example, in the PBA Tour, to American companies, And American companies, by the way, for a long time have tried to sponsor events instead of just buying commercial spot time announcements, like in the golf tour. You don't see some of the golf sponsors doing anything more than buying spot announcements. For example, golf club manufacturers buy spot announcements, but sometimes they don't typically sponsor tournaments. It should be world cartels or large corporations, insurance giants, on and on and on, automobile industry, whatever. Around the world, we should get money. We should try to draw from the pool of money around the world to make a greater financial support. We don't want to lose our showcase in the United States for professional bowling, and that is the PBA Tour. If that goes away from TV, we can't promote our products. We can't promote the excitement and thrill of bowling, and we want to keep the PBA and all professional organizations around the world in existence as long as possible. So we're trying to find ways and ideas that we can do that to support the industry, and we think that a world ranking system and a world tour might be some steps to provide these showcases to remain in existence and be successful. Well, I hope I've kind of stimulated your thinking a little bit. We recommend or welcome you to make some comments on the article posted at Bowlversity here at bowlingball.com. And, there'll be more editorials in the future about random subjects about the industry. Remember, all we're trying to do is find ways to improve where things are at today. We're not trying to sit here and make a list of things, why things went wrong or what's wrong. We all know what's wrong. But let's look for ways to improve it, so we welcome your comments. Thanks for taking some time to listen. Read the article and post your comments if you choose. Thank you.